told you earlier on, we are going to amend the order paper to receive the sports amendment bill.
Bill's first reading, the National Sports Amendment Bill 2024.
Honourable Minister for Sports.
Right Honourable Speaker and honourable colleagues, pursuant to Rule 128(1) and 2 of the Rules of Procedure.
Colleagues, I need order in the House. Order.
I beg to move that the National Sports Amendment Bill be read for the first time. Right Honourable Speaker and honourable colleagues, the bill is duly accompanied by the Certificate of Financial Implication in compliance with Section 76 of the Public Finance Management Act 2015 and Rule 118 of the Rules of Procedure. Right Honourable Speaker, with your permission, allow me move a motion for the suspension of Rule 129 of the Rules of Procedure. Right Honourable Speaker, before you refer the bill.
Honourable, I haven't allowed you. You asked and I haven't allowed you. So, because before you do that, okay, we must first announce it for first reading. Okay? Otherwise, we'll have jumped a critical stage. Clerk?
The National Sports Amendment Bill 2024.
Thank you. So, Honourable Minister.
Right Honourable Speaker, colleagues here are making me laugh, but that's not for now. I'll answer that after I've moved the roll. Right Honourable Speaker, I move a motion for the suspension of Rule 129 of the Rules of Procedure. Right Honourable Speaker, before you refer to the committee, refer the bill to the relevant sectoral committee, I move that Rule 129 of the Rules of Procedure be suspended to enable direct and urgent consideration of the bill by the House without referral to the committee. Right Honourable Speaker, the justification for the suspension of Rule 129 is the urgent need to align the provision of the National Sports Act with the World Anti-Doping Code and the UNESCO International Convention Against Doping. Uganda has to urgently comply with this requirement, lest we risk losing the hosting rights of CHAN, AFCON, and other international competitions here. Right Honourable Speaker, I'm aware that the House might go into recess, so I beseech the August House to directly consider the bill before the bill has 4 clauses all related to the amendment to align with the law with the global anti-doping standards. I beg to move, Right Honourable Speaker.
Before I put a question, honourable colleagues, I discussed this with the Minister and the Attorney General, and I had to look through the bill. Basically, the 4 clauses which they have put in a bill, there is nothing to do with our local regulations or what. It's only just cutting and pasting from international regulations to do with anti-doping. Okay? There is nothing outside that. So, but it's very, very, maybe Attorney General, I don't know if you want to add on something, then I will allow. Then I will put a question. Because I should put a question on whether the motion is seconded, but you see, members should know what they are seconding before anything else.
Right Honourable Speaker and honourable colleagues, you recall that sometime last year we did bring the National Sports Bill for enactment by this House. At the time of bringing this bill, we did make mention to the requirements to comply with the World Anti-Doping Code. Upon sending the bill back to the World Anti-Doping Association, they required that certain aspects be specifically stated in the bill, and particularly stating that the code, this particular code, will be adopted in as far as doping. So the 4 provisions that we are dealing with in this bill relate to introducing the code for anti-doping into the law, specifically for that purpose. And secondly, they required that there must be clarity on the issue of the independence of the body that is handling anti-doping. say that we need to state clearly that it is independent. So those are the two aspects, and they all relate to compliance with the World Anti-Doping Code. And I beseech colleagues to take it in good faith and allow us to proceed with this bill.
Before I put a question, Honorable Song, we wanted to...
Mr. Speaker, the Committee of Education has some time back run a bill for within 2 days, and it was processed and returned here, and we never had challenges. But as you stated, Mr. Speaker, that you met the Attorney General, the Minister, but our side, I'm the Shadow Minister for Education who processed the bill. We have not been involved. And the Attorney General specifically looking at you, as you also do the same. You know that when you are looking at the law, sections of the law always move within others as you try to interpret them. So we had very serious clauses on anti-doping on the bill, the act we passed, assented by the powers that may be. So how does our side come in to prove what you are saying, and what's the urgency? What's the urgency of this bill? May I would pray, give this committee time, Monday and Tuesday, we process that, we look at what the amendments we want to make, other than, because even you know what, with the sports, there are other international laws where we are signatories. So, Mr. Attorney General, how would you feel through the Speaker that he would give us, because our side, I doubt, we have the Shadow Minister, Attorney General, who is not informed. So how do we come in to accept? No. And my good friend, the Honorable Gwang, not even sending a call to me to look at the amendments he wants to make. So how will I generate a minority report after moving it straight on the floor by suspending a rule on a matter which is not so urgent? Where is the urgency for this amendment? Because we are ready to do it, Mr. Speaker.
I think it's important to talk about the urgency, because even me, they told me about the urgency. But I reached out to the ROP, acting ROP, and I explained to him, and I had told him that the shadow Minister for Sports should link up so that the two harmonize, but it was late. But it's not that as a presiding officer, I didn't reach out to the opposition side. I did. Yeah.
We most obliged, Mr. Speaker. But you see, even when I'm going to move anything in the committee, we have a technical team on our side. And the reading is very important. Actually, I can tell the Attorney General that up to now, regulations for the law we passed have never been produced by Minister of Education.
Now, Honorable Song, let's make it very simple, okay? If these are international provisions, okay, from the code of anti-doping agency, they are not allowing you to add a comma, they are not allowing you to have a full stop. They are saying for your sports people to participate in international law, you must adopt this, okay? So would it be, the issue is on the urgency? Yes, Honorable Jonathan Odo.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, first, we need to have the bill properly before the House. And I submit that it is not. When the minister moved for the first reading, the bill has not been accepted. So we cannot even proceed to that next step to consider whether it's urgent. That should be the first step. But the second one is that even when a matter is urgent, it is proper that procedures are followed. It's not proper for the minister to come and hurry as if these houses are just robots, a group of robots seated here to process their business. The procedures must be followed. His explanation for the urgency should come that maybe this week or next week you have a group of athletes from Uganda who are going to participate, and if we don't pass it today, it means they are not going to pass. It has not come out. So I propose that we first receive the bill, and the bill is referred appropriately, and then if the executive has any issue, then they can stand out and move that motion, and then we can then consider that motion.
No, Honorable Jonathan, I'm the one who guided that way, because the bill's title is already read for the first reading. Now, on reference, because the clerk called it, so on reference, okay, this is where if I refer it to the committee, now you go through the process of getting it from the committee back to the House. So I had not yet referred it. But the moment the title is called, okay, and announced, we have it for the first reading. We called it for first reading, and we've had, no, the clerk did. The clerk did, yeah. I don't know. I don't know whether I wasn't hearing properly, but
Mr. Speaker,
yeah.
the clerk called the item, and the minister moved. After the minister has moved, the clerk is supposed to read that title.
He did.
Which he did not.
He did.
I was here. But it's okay, we can leave it.
I think maybe for clarification, the minister went on the floor to move. I stopped him. I said, you cannot continue before the clerk can read the title. And the clerk read the title. But clerk read it again for satisfaction of my colleagues for the record. Yes.
The National Sports Amendment Bill 2024.
Thank you. So, Honourable Minister, the urgency, the issues on the urgency. Yes. How urgent? Because we are going for a recess. So how urgent during this period won't you be able to work without it?
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Colleagues, first of all, I want to talk about the international events which as a country we have already got the hosting rights. To begin with, we have CHAN, which I want to confirm, beginning 1st of Jan, going forward, I have the Confederation of African Football team here in the country. Actually, to be on record, Right Honourable Speaker, you are aware that on Saturday, the President of the Confederation of African Football, with the members of the CAF executive, are visiting Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania. However, we have received serious warning letters from the World Anti-Doping Agency telling us the urgency for us to align our laws, the National Sports Act, with the World Anti-Doping Code, like the Attorney General is saying. Without this, even our own athletes who have been going to compete in other international competition, even the flag of Uganda is not going to be allowed to fly in all areas where those specific athletes go and compete from. Secondly, we have then the AFCON, which is coming for purpose of Uganda. So we have this matter, even those Ugandans who qualify to go and bid or to go and get elected international sports events, they will not be allowed to compete or to participate in those events if we don't pass this very specific code. So for that matter, Right Honourable Speaker, I'm also aware of the parliamentary program, Right Honourable Speaker. The parliamentary program, I am very sure today, you might adjourn the House. So for that matter, I would beg, honourable colleagues, that we have this bill be passed like it have clearly come out to say. It's specifically aligning our law into the World Anti-Doping Agency provisions of the law. So, colleagues, there are specifically 4 sections or 4 provisions in this law. So even if, Right Honourable Speaker, you say that we send this law to the committee, I want to implore my colleague, particularly the Shadow Minister of Sports and then the Shadow Minister of Education and Sports. I regret having not called you. You know, me and you talk. For that matter, I want to please beg with you that you allow we move as a team for purposes of us approving this law. I thank you so much.
Chair of the committee, have you looked at the bill? Because the copies should be in the pigeonhole, but also the bill we should be able to display it here.
Right Honourable Speaker, I've looked at the bill and there is nothing dangerous to our old act that we passed. It's a matter of realigning the international regulations with our act. So there is nothing dangerous, Right Honourable Speaker.
I now put the question that Rule 129 be suspended to enable the House to proceed to the second reading of the National Sports Amendment Bill 2024. Those in favour, aye, and to the contrary, aye. The ayes have it. Now, Honourable...
The National Sports Amendment Bill 2024.
Honourable colleagues, I want this to go on record, because sometimes you have, when you're presiding officer and these things are brought to you, you have to go back, okay, and you first look through. I wouldn't also accept that you rush in something which would need scrutiny, much scrutiny. But what I saw, and the bill is going to be displayed here, if you find issues that are not to do with anti-doping agency regulations, then we drop them. Okay, it's very, very clear. It's a small bill, very, very small. We should be able to handle it, and we are in for sure, honorable colleagues. Yeah. Jonathan Hando, honorable saying for me. Honorable colleagues, in the VIP gallery this afternoon, we have religious leaders, some of the religious leaders who presided over the Parliament of Uganda end-of-year prayers and thanks.